Kakadosh Boker Tov, we're going to be continuing on Daf Tzadik Gimel Amud Aleph 93A1. However, though, we're just going to start, if you remember, on the bottom of Tzadik Bet Amud Bet, where it says Amale Rava LaAbaye, it says Rava to Abaye, V'chi lo matzinu mechitza li'isur. We never found a mechitza that's going to prohibit. V'ha'itmar, it was stated, Tzadik Gimel Amud Aleph on the top, Sikech al gabe asadra, if you put a schach on top of the chsadra, sheyesh la petzinim, that it has these amudim. I'll share the screen so you guys could see the picture. I lost it. There you go. Yeah, so here it says this is the case. Yeah, oh, it's this one. If you put schach on top of an achsadra, this is achsadra, right, that has petzinim. So here you have a tefach sticking out. That's why it says here tefach. There's a tefach sticking out, which is 8 centimeters sticking out on all 4 sides. Here also you could actually see it. If I would zoom in even a little bit more.
This picture where it's sticking out.
This is sticking out, and this is sticking out. This is sticking out. You see, it's not flat. It's not flushed. It's sticking out. That's the same thing here. It's sticking out. It's not flushed. That's what it means by sticking out.
So okay. Means only when it's coming out.
Yes. Petzinim is that has. Coming out, is it yeah, because why? Because if not, what happens is here you only have 2 walls. If you look at the picture here, you have 2 walls. 1 wall, second wall. The fact that you have the extra petzinim sticking out, that would make it that since you have 2 kosher walls and a tefach, so it makes it kosher. Okay? But if you came and you made it equal, which is flush, that's this picture. The next picture over here, this is according to Shtat Rashi. So then it's going to be psula. It's going to become disqualified. Right? Why? Because now you only have 2 kosher walls. 2 kosher walls is disqualified. This one, flushed. You see? It's flushed. So it's only 2 walls. If there's nothing sticking out.
You mean this is flush to that?
Yeah, that's flush to that. So therefore, you only have 2 walls. Beforehand, it was sticking out. So once it's sticking out, this is considered a wall. Because you have 2 kosher walls and a little bit sticking out on each side. So that's going to be okay.
Is true to say, it's a question. Is this true to say only when you have 2 different houses and this in between 2 houses?
No, nothing to do with it.
No,
nothing
that's
to
my
do
question.
Regular sukkot.
רגע, בדיוק הזה, I'm not מכוון על זה, אני מכוון לסוכות רגיל. Assuming this is my house. And actually, I have something like that in my house in the back.
No, but you are using the wall of your, you're using the wall of the things. That's the third wall.
But if I had בצורת חטא או רש, אז היה לי בדיוק ככה.
זה בסדר, אבל, because you're using the back thing. Here, he's not using the back part. Even though the back part is empty. Even though here, it does look like you are using it. Yeah? Fine. So, Amale Abaye comes and he says, Ledidi kshera. According to me, the sukkah is kshera. Even after you made it flushed, and there's only going to be 2 mechitzot, right? Or even if there's no mechitzot at all. Why? Because stam achsadra has korot lemala me'amud le'amud, which means that they do have it. Let's see if he has a picture here. Right? This is what he says. Amale abai ledidik shera. Why? He says because the stam achsadra has the amudim, and therefore what's going to happen is, right, is that that's what Rashi says. Which means we're going to say that the tikra, which is a roof, comes down and closes it off. Which means since over here you have the pitikra, this closes off this entire entrance. So therefore I do have a kosher mechitza. Because I have 1, 2, is the second side, and then this comes down. That's the way that I look at it. Ledidach, but according to you, that we do not say pitikra yorev esotem, we do not say this concept that the roof comes down and acts like a full wall. Okay, so if we're not going to say that, sorry. Okay, so if we're not going to say that, it says over here, siluk mechitzoti. So then what's happening is that the psul is because now you took away the mechitzot, and therefore there's no mechitza left. Remember, the mechitza is the actual, how do you call those things that are sticking out?
Lechis?
Okay, if you want, you could call it a lechi, but lechi is usually here in the beginning of a courtyard. Here, it was like it was a pillar that, it's like something sticking out of the pillar, okay, that's coming out. Fine, next. Amale Rabba Rav Chanan Labaye, it says Rav Chanan to Rabaye, Velo matzinu mechitza liisur, we didn't see any mechitza to be oseh. But Tani, we learned to write a bait shechetzio mekureh vechetzio eno mekureh. Yeah, imagine right now you have a house, right, which is picture 99. Yeah, well, imagine right now you have a house which half of it is roofed and half of it is not roofed. So half of it you have a roof and half of it you don't have a roof. Gefanim kan, and you have gefanim, you have grapes, right, which is over here on this half. and they have to have a roof. So what happens? Mutar lizroa kan, you're allowed to come and you're allowed to plant on this side any types of vegetables, whatever that you want, and there's no problem.
What the problem would, you might think it could be.
No, because here kilayim. Exactly. Here you do have a problem. Why? Because it's like a mechitza.
A different domain.
Yes, because you have a mechitza here.
And you're saying that this mechitza is considering going down.
Exactly. So therefore, I'm allowed to come and plant here whatever I want.
I don't see the mechitza going down. Usually you have to have a pole.
That's a concept. Pitika yorev means I look at it as if it's the imaginary line going down, which means that I take this, right? No, good achit. Asik is upwards. Good achit is downward. Right? So good achit.
For my benefit and for those listening to you, so we're talking now, and we have been talking about examples of a partition that causes a prohibition.
Yes.
And I don't understand that so much. So as you're speaking, you'll explain it.
So we just said that here, this partition now, right? We just said that if it goes down, right, which means that right now I'm making it as if, say, it's an imaginary line going down, right? Pitikra yored vesotem. That's the concept called. So if I say pitikra yored vesotem, what happens is that it goes down, right? And it closes it off.
And it's not causing a prohibition.
And it doesn't cause a prohibition. But 1 second. So it says ve'ilu ishvait keruyo. However, though, if you are going to come and you're going to be mashve keruyo, which is this case, which means that I finished off the ceiling, what happens? I'm asur. I'm not allowed to plant here. Nothing. So therefore, it says over here, right? You see from here that the tikra is like a mechitza. So therefore, the fact that I added in this extra partition, it made a prohibition.
That's a roof.
Yeah, but the roof is like a mechitza, right? This is a mechitza. These are mechitzot. These are all mechitzot. All the walls, you're going to tell me it's a wall. It's not
walls
a
mechitza, but not roofs.
They're all mechitzot here, because here this was also a mechitza. This roof acted as my mechitza, but it went all the way downwards. Now I added in another mechitza, which is another. A mechitza just means a partition, separation, a partition, right? Right, you talk about a mechitza of the women, right? Mechitza of the women, for us, it's on the same level. So but on some mechitzot, they're on the top,
no kalayim,
second floor.
Put a roof on it, prohibition,
Prohibition,
no.
Yeah.
Why?
No. If you put a roof on it, now it's prohibited because of kilayim.
That's what I'm saying. Why
okay.
is that?
Why is that? So no, but why is that? Because now I don't say pitikra yorev vesotem. This one, since it continued on the top, I don't say that this one has an imaginary line going down because it's all one roof. It's all leveled. So nothing goes down anymore. So now it becomes prohibited. So the question is, you see from here that adding on a partition prohibits, right, this kilayim.
Now it's only one entity. You have the whole area to plant in.
Because it's kilayim.
Go down, please, with the picture next. Hold on, please. If here, you remember the roofs? The ASIC? Remember that? So if the white, and it's good, gray, if in between them, I did the second edition a year after, but I left whatever, tefach, 10 tefach, it doesn't matter what, then what we just learned will be canceled, right? Because it will be good achit. And
yeah,
then
but
it will be to the
I don't think that it's enough to have just here. You would need also the separation in the building. When we said good asik, when we said good asik,
it was two different houses.
It was two different houses.
Correct.
This is all one house. This is one house.
Maybe it applies.
So I don't think it applies. I think it has to. I think it needs to be in the building in itself, not only just in the roof. Not only just in the roof. I think it has to be the building in itself. Okay? So says the Gemara, Amalei hatam siluk mechitzothu. He says it's not true. Why? Because basically what happens is that when you are coming and you are fixing the roof, which means you're completing the roof, you are actually taking away the mechitza, right? Because basically what happens is you're taking away the concept of pitikra, right? Yored vesotem. And therefore, it's not you're making a new mechitza, which is causing the isur, you're taking away the previous mechitza, right? It's not that you're adding a mechitza, you're taking away the previous mechitza. Meaning when I added this half of the roof, I'm not adding a mechitza, I'm taking away this mechitza. Okay, that's what we're saying. So now says the Gemara, Shalach le Rav Abaye, sends Rav to Abaye, biyad Rav Shemaya bar Zeira, in the hand of Rav Shemaya bar Zeira, v'lo matzinu mechitza leisur. We never found the mechitza which is going to prohibit. But Tanya, we learned to the Braita, yesh v'mechitzot hakerem la'akel ulachmir. Sometimes you have a concept of mechitzot hakerem to be lenient, and sometimes you find it to be stringent. Keitza, what's the case exactly? Kerem anatua adikar mechitza. That's here. Okay, so again, you have a kerem, which is a vineyard, which is actually going to be natua, which is going to be planted until ikar mechitza, until mamash the mechitza. Yeah, so it says over here, zorea mi ikar mechitza ve'elach. So you come till here. So again, Here you have 10 tfachim tall, obviously. Because remember, in order to have a mechitza, you need 10 tfachim tall. So zorea meikar mechitza velach, she'ilu en sham mechitza, because if there was no mechitza, manchik 400, you would need to distance 4 amot. Meaning if here there was no mechitza, you need to separate 4 amot. Okay? So you see, this is karachat akerem. This is the next case. But here...
Isn't this the picture you should be using?
Yeah, what's the problem? It's the same thing like this one.
Right.
You added the house. You don't need to add the house.
You don't need to have a house?
Yeah, but 1 second, right? Look over here. Here you have a mechitza. Since you have the mechitza, and I have here the vineyard, I'm allowed to plant exactly until the mechitza. Okay, now, here on this side, you have the other grains, which would be prohibitive, as this is wheat. Look, you could tell by the kernels, yeah? So this is wheat, and here you have the vineyard. This should be usually prohibited. Because you have the mechitza, it's permitted. So now says the Gemara, if I did not have this partition, what would I have needed to do? 4 amot. I would have had to separate 4 amot, and then I would have started. Okay? So this is a mechitza in the vineyard to be lenient. Okay? Now, ulachmir ketzad. How do I do it to be stringent? So he says, if it was further away from the kotel, 11 amot. So lo yavi zera lesham, I'm not allowed to bring zera there. Shilmale and mechitza, because if there was no mechitza, marchik 4 amot. Zorea, then I would have had to distance 4 amot and to be zorea, right? No, that was just the nature. Yeah, he just didn't do it. Why?
It's arbitrary number. It doesn't have any common sense to it.
He says here it could have been the exact same halacha until 12,
correct?
Right? Until 12, less than mashu. But the Gemara is going to explain it later on.
Because if Dalet is the original one, I would have double it, and that's enough.
No, he's just saying because you go until 12. That's what he's saying.
Also, it's multiplication, bidik of the 4. Okay. That makes sense to my line of thinking.
So again, one more time, that's the maximum. We're saying the maximum could be until 12 and minus 1. So he's saying 11. 8. So he comes in, but you don't need to say that. You could go until, I'm going to grab the maximum. We're going to grab the minimum. Or even double. So he comes and he says, Lo yavi zera l'sham. I'm not going to be able to bring zera over there to plant in between the kerem and the gader. Now the reason why is because if there was no mechitza, what would have happened? Marchik 4 amot v'zorea. I would have had to distance it 4 amot and then plant it. Okay, v'zoi mechitzat kerem lachmir. This is mechitzat kerem now to be machmir. Why? Because here you say that the fact that there's a mechitza, it's causing the prohibition. Meaning if there was no mechitza, it would have been done 4 amot. Now that I have a mechitza, now I have to leave it and I can't plant in between. Right? So now the question is, here you see that you're going to become prohibited. So here it says, Amaleh, so he comes and he tells him, V'litamech, and according to your reasoning, Otvan matnitin, we could ask from a Mishnah. Why? The Tanam, as we learned in a Mishnah, Karachat Akerem. Right, this is talking about Karachat Akerem. So this is Karachat Akerem. You could look over here. Okay? This is called Karachat Akerem.
What does that mean?
Karachat is a bald person. What? Karachat is bald.
So that's just
bald. You know what bald is? Yeah, so bald. So here it means bald because you don't have hair. So here it means you don't have anything planted here. Okay? What did you say? No, let's see. So Karachat Akerem is what? It says, Bet Shammai says, you need to have not less than 24 amot. Because in ba shiur zeh, asur lizru hasham zraim efilu ma'at. So you can't even plant anything. Why? Because of Isur Kilayim. Because the entire thing is part of the Kerem. Okay, Bet Hillel says, 16 amot. 16 amot. Okay, so now, that means basically there's a machloket. That means obviously this picture is going according to Bet Hillel and not according to Bet Shammai. Because here's 16 amot. I don't know if it's going to have the 24 amot. Bet Hillel omrim 16 amot. Okay, so now 1 second. Right, so, okay. So here you have the 16 amot. According to Bet Shammai, it would have been 24 amot. So now, Mechol HaKerem. Now, Mechol HaKerem is the next picture. This is Karachat HaKerem, which means in the middle you have a bald spot. Okay, here we have Mechol HaKerem. What is Mechol HaKerem? This one, which is on the sides, meaning that the bald spot is not in the middle, it's on the sides. Okay, so it says here Mechol HaKerem, right? How do you need it? But Shammai says you need 16 amot, and Bet Hillel says 12 amot. So here again you have the 12 amot, but we're going like Bet Hillel. So here you have 12 amot and 12 amot. Okay, so Ve'ezui Karachat HaKerem. What is Karachat HaKerem? Kerem shecharav emtzaito. That's in the middle, which in the middle got destroyed. So that's this one. This is called Karachat HaKerem, right? So im en sham 16 amot, you do not have 16 amot. Lo yavi zera lesham. You cannot bring zera, zraim, to come and start planting. Okay? Hayu sham 16 amot. If you do have 16 amot, noten lo kevei avodato. you need to give the space of the avodah, which is 4 amot, because that's how much you need avodat kerem. That's what it says here. 4 amot, avodat kerem, and 4 amot. Right, for the tractors and all those things to work. So there's avodat kerem. So you need to give avodah. And then v'zoreat amotad, you're allowed to plant in the middle, which is that's here. So that's why it says over here, mutar lizroa yerek in the 8 amot in the middle. And the 8 amot here, you're allowed to, right? And here you need 4 amot, and here you need 4 amot that you're not allowed to. Asur lizroa, you're not allowed to plant anything. Ezoi mechola kerem. What is mechola kerem? Ben kerem lagader, between the kerem and the gader. So here you have the gader, which is the fence, and you have between the vineyard and the gader. So this is called mechola kerem, not karachat kerem. Shim en sham 12 amot. If you do not have 12 amot, lo yavi zera l'sham, you cannot bring anything there, right, in order to plant. Hayu sham 12, if you do have 12, right, noten lo kedei avodato v'zoreat amotad. You have to give it kedei avodato, then you're allowed to. So here you need avodat kerem. Again, you need still the 4 amot empty. The same thing on this side, 4 amot empty. Then you're allowed to plant the 4 amot. Now here you're not allowed to, right? Why? Because it's davsha de kotel, because of the wall, right? So therefore, basically what we're trying to say here is that this is the same exact halakha that you just brought down from the Braita, that you're not supposed to plant the gifanim close to the gader, right? If it's going to be less than 12 amot. So therefore, why are you coming and asking on me from a Braita, not from a Mishnah? Meaning, if you're already going to ask me a question, ask me from a Mishnah. Don't ask me from a Braita, right? That's what he's telling you. So he says, Ela hatam, but there, to do with mechola kerem, lav hainu tama is not because, Ela dechol arba amot legabe kerem, lavodat kerem. Any arba amot which is close to the kerem, you need it for avodat kerem. Legabe kader, to do with the gader, keven de lo mizdaran, since it's not supposed to be placed there for zriyah, meaning you're not supposed to plant there, right? Because you don't want to destroy the wall. So if you're not going to start plowing and doing all these things here because you don't want to destroy the wall. So he says over here, afkure mafkelahu. So you're actually going to be mafkided. It's like consider that you made it ownerless, right? So therefore, it's actually part of the gader. It's not actually your field. It's part of the wall. So therefore, the beno bene. So between that, yikar ba, if it's going to have 4 amot chashivan, it's going to be important. Vila, and if not, la chashivan, it's not going to be considered important. Okay, so therefore, one second. So therefore, what's happening is that the gader is not actually causing the isur because the gader is actually making a mechitza. But rather, because of the gader, you're not going to plant anything beside it. So therefore, he says, so too the shetach, which is before, which means the space, which is beside the kerem, is going to be batel to the kerem, and therefore we've never found a mechitza which is causing an isur. We thought that this mechitza is causing an isur. He's saying the mechitza is actually not causing an isur. Why? This 4 amot you need for avodat kerem. This, if you have 4 amot, it's chashuv, and therefore you're allowed to plant. If you don't have 4 amot, it's not chashuv, therefore you're not allowed to plant. This 4 amot, it's not asur because of the mechitza. You would never do anything here. Because if you're going to do anything here, you're going to destroy the roots of the how do you call it, of the wall. So therefore, you're not planting there, not because stam it's asur, it's just because this becomes part of the wall. And therefore, you would never actually plant there. So therefore, this mechitza is not actually prohibiting it. It's just this becomes ownerless. So therefore, we never found the case where be'emet, the mechitza is actually prohibiting. That's what we're saying until now. Okay? What do you want to ask?
Before Bet Shammai says 24. Now I understand why they're going to 12, because anyway, you cannot plow the kerem only. That's my also question. It's only a kerem, meaning if I can do something else, I don't need to have 12 from the wall. That's a question, by the way, in parentheses. So before it was 24, I don't know why. 12, it's not because of wisdom of Torah, so to speak, it's because of Haklaut.
First of all, you have to remember the 24 Bet Shammai, unless you don't learn the Mishnah Yoder and Kilayim, you won't understand.
Correct, so fine, which I agree, which I don't.
Okay, no, that's fine.
But then I realized that 12 is not really, again, from Torah, it's more of Haklaut meaning, because a kerem you cannot do closer to the wall from 12
he's teaching you Haklaut in order not to be over the Yisur. In order not to be over the Yisur. So
correct, there's a Haklaut. He's not an exile from Torah.
No, but what he's trying to say is that he's giving you the dimensions. And the reason why you do the dimensions is because of this.
Fine.
But so it comes out, though, that the wall is not prohibiting.
Correct, that's fine. So now, if it's not a kerem, can I go below 12? Because, again, this is Haklaut, it's not Torah.
Avodat kerem is for, first of all, Kilayim doesn't apply on all different things. Kilayim applies with Kilei kerem. It's not on all things as Kilayim. The Kilei kerem with other things, but it's not always Kilayim. You could have, apples and orange trees one beside each other.
The distance would be then less.
This is Kilei kerem. This is to do with the kerem.
But in the picture before, the kerem was also inside, but was only 4 amot from something else.
Yeah, that's fine.
So why here is not?
Right. Okay, afterwards. Okay. Let me just continue because we have to finish. Okay. So Amar Rav Yehuda comes and he says, Shlosha karpifot ze b'zat ze. Imagine right now I have 3 karpifot, one beside each other. Okay. Here I have 3 karpifot. Remember the karpifot was the storage houses. So I have 1, 2, and 3. Okay. So now ushnaim achitzonim megupafim. So remember that the 2 outer ones were megupafim. Remember megupafim was that it has these the sticking out of the walls. How do you, I don't know, you want to call them in English? I don't know.
You wanted to find the one.
I never had the word for it. Right? They stick out over here. Right? That means right here you have sticking out, sticking out, sticking out. They stick out from the wall. It protrudes from the wall. I don't know however else you want to say it. The middle one is flushed. So in the middle one, there's no sticking out of the walls. And each one is an Adam Yachid. So here you have one individual, one individual, one individual. Okay? So Na'asa k'shayara. It becomes like a shayara of 3 people that they're actually traveling. You give each one of them whatever they need. Meaning we're not going to come and give them like an Adam Yachid that we actually come and we say that it's only until Betzatayim. We said why? Because the Yurei Gdolim Kekatan. Right? Because we say that the Yurei Gdolim Kekatan, and therefore it's Ki'ilu that they're all living in the middle one. Okay? So the middle one is like the entrance to all of them. So therefore it says over here, Emtsayim Megufaf, right? Ushnaim Achitzunim. And what happens now if the opposite? If the middle one was Megupaf, no, this is the Rambam. Here it is. This one. Right? The Emtsai is Megupaf, but the Shnaim HaChitzunim are not, which means the 2 outer ones was flushed. Okay? That means their wall went straight through. But the middle one is the one in Megupaf here. You see? The exact opposite of this case. This case, the middle one was flushed, and the outer ones had these things sticking out. In this one, it's exact opposite. Okay? That the middle one was why they were sticking out, and the outer ones were flushed.
Like a small courtyard and a big courtyard.
Yeah. So it says, they only give it, right, of 16, the Sachakol, which means that each one of them is only allowed to go until Betzatayim. So each one here is until Betzatayim, until Betzatayim, until Betzatayim. That's all that they're allowed to. Okay? So it says the Gemara, so we're going to ask now the following question. What happens if you had 1, 1, and 2 in the middle? That's this picture. 1 person living here, 1 person living here, and 2 people living in the middle. Ma, what's the halacha? Do we say that it's like a shayira and therefore, again, we give them everything that we need? Or do we say that it's still like yechidim and therefore they only have betzatayim by themselves? Okay, so again, here they have more than a betzatayim. Here they have more than betzatayim. But here, do we say that it's like all connected? Or do we say that they only have betzatayim? So, ila hacha nafke, if the 2 dayarim come and they go out from there, right, which means that they're going to come and use the outer ones, tlata have. So then it comes out that there's going to be 3 dayarim, right, together. If they come out the other way, again, tlata have, it becomes 3, right? So again, meaning that if these 2 go to this side, it's 3. These 2 go to this side again, it's going to become 3.
What's the difference if it's 3? Why are we care if it's 3?
Because basically what's happening is that's what we're trying to say. We're coming to say that they were going to come if each one of the outer one has 3 dayarim. So therefore, it's like a shayara, and we give them kol tzorkam.
What's a shayara?
A caravan, like a group of people going together.
And therefore we what?
And we give them all their necessities, whatever they need.
Nice.
Okay? Or dilma, or maybe. One person goes to here, one person goes to there, and then again, you only have 2 people maximum. You don't have 3 people. So therefore, since you only have 2 people, so therefore you don't give them all their necessities, so therefore they only have a betzatayim for each one. Basically, what we're trying to say is, do we group these 2 people that they both go to the same direction? So 2 goes to here, I have 3, again, I have a shayra. 2 go to here, I have 3, again, I have a shayra. Or do I say, maybe you split it up, 1 and 1, and then you don't have a shayra? So you only have 1 here, like 2 people here, 2 people here, and therefore here, they're only allowed to carry betzatayim. Now, if you're going to tell me, we split it up and we go 1, 1. What happens if I have 2 there? 2 people on the outside, 2 people on the outside, and 1 in the middle. Okay? Everyone's with me? 2 people on the outside, 2 people on the outside, and 1 person in the middle. Okay? Ma'al, what's halacha? Here for sure, at the end of the day, wherever this 3rd person goes, he's going to have 3. Right? Or dilmar, maybe, maybe I'm going to say that maybe the one in the middle is going to go to there. That means since we don't know where he's going to go, so therefore we don't give them kol tzorkam. The hilchata and the halacha is in by both of these cases, bayan lekula. We always go lenient. So in both of these cases, we go lenient, and therefore we give them kol tzorkam, whatever they need. So Amar Rav Chasta says, Rav Chasta, tzaddigim lo mubet, gidud chamisha umechitza chamisha, em mitztarfin. Here it is, picture 1001. Yeah? So it says over here, okay, one second, let me just do this bigger.
They don't combine.
This is a gidud, and this is a mechitza.
A small,
the
small, can you
gidud,
make it bigger? Well, I can't see. Take 2 seconds to make it so small.
this is a gidud, the bottom part. This is a mechitza, the top part. So the gidud is like a tel. It's like a karka begova 5 tfachim.
What's gidul?
Gidud. It's like a, I don't even call it, like a mount. Yeah? So this is called a gidud. Okay? And then you had another 5 above, 5 tfachim. Okay, so you have 5 and 5. Remember, you need 10 tfachim, right, in order to do it. Says the Gemara, em mitztarfin. It's not going to combine together. Ad shiu o kulo begidud o kulo b'mechitza. You need the entire thing a mount or the entire thing mechitza. Meaning this was a mechitza, this is a gidud. So therefore you need either the entire thing a mechitza or the entire thing gidud. You always need 10 tefachim tall, but it's either you need one entity. You cannot combine both of them together. Okay, that's what we're saying. Okay, so meitvei. So we're going to ask the questions. If you have 2 courtyards, one on top of the other. You see, this is kulo begidud. This is the gidud.
But when we did the roofs and we combined one after the other, it did combine it as one, and it did one territory, one zone. So why here not?
Again, one more time.
You remember in the split roof?
Yeah.
White and gray? After you put the gray one, it was complete as a one zone. Therefore, we couldn't do kilayim. Why here we cannot apply the same rule if I did another wall on top of it?
It's the same wall. There was the same roof.
No, it just was an addition afterwards.
It was an addition, but addition is not a problem. Here it's a different concept. Here this is a mount and this is a wall.
You can show us a better picture, maybe what he's saying. Is that better or not?
It's exactly the thing. Basically, you have, this is like a mount. This is meaning that it's not the same mechitza. This is a mechitza and this is a gidud. A gidud is basically, right, that I went and I continued the bottom part, like foundation, like a foundation. And the mechitza is like a wall. So it's 2 different concepts. That's what the Gemara is saying. It is not. It's either or everything else. Okay? Okay, so now it says, so we're going to ask the following question. When I have 2 chatzerot, one on top of each other, and the top one is taller than the bottom one, 10 tfachim, or you do have a gidud of 5 and 5, 2 people, that means you have to make 2 different eruvei chatzerot, right? Because basically they're not considered together. You can't do 1. If it's going to be that the gova mechitza is going to be less than 10 tfachim, so then you do 1, you don't do 2. So the question is, right? Mefurash gidud chamisha v'mechitza chamisha mitzarfin. They do combine together. We don't have a picture. This is kulo b'mechitza. This is bait amok. This is Tosafot. Here it is. Yeah, we have a picture. Yeah, the same thing.
This has no opening.
No, but this is here. You have the 10 tfachim here. When you have shte chatzerot zul ma'al mizo, okay? Ve'elyona gevoa min hatachtona 10 tfachim. Okay? So here you have 10 tfachim. So what do we say? So we said over here, right, 10 tfachim. So we said in such a case, right, it's going to be kosher, or sheyesh ba 5 and 5. Here you have again the same thing, the gidud and then the mechitza. And here we say that they are mitzaref. So what? That's what I was asking. Yeah. So the Gemara is asking. Here you do see that it is mitzaref. 5 and 5 works here, right? No. 5 and 5 here works, and previously you just told me that it doesn't work. So the Gemara answers, Amar Rava moder Rav Chasta betachtona ho'il ro'eh penei asara. He says, no, there's a difference. Here, when you're at the bottom one and the top one, when I'm on here in the bottom, I see 10 tfachim in front of me.
Different elevation?
Exactly, it's a different elevation, which means that I see in front of me 10 tfachim. So because I see in front of me 10 tfachim, they are mitzaref. In the previous case, you didn't see the 10 tfachim, right? Because basically when you're on the inside, right? You don't see it. You only see 5 tfachim. Because the other part was part of the mount. Where was it? Here, right? Since I'm already elevated, I only see 5 tfachim.
From where? Where are you standing?
I'm here inside the courtyard.
And you're looking?
And I'm looking outside.
You only see 5.
I only see 5. That's why. Because this gidud
so the red
is the foundation.
Is 5 tachim already.
5 tfachim.
Yeah. You see the stairs.
You see the stairs. These are the stairs. Right? That means basically this gidud, right? This gidud, I do not see it. I'm on the inside. Right? I'm on the inside. So I only see 5 tfachim. So that's why it doesn't count. Okay? If so, tachtona tarev shnaim. So he says, so if so then the bottom one should be ma'arev 2 then. And not make 1. Right? So he says, why? Because since the bottom one, there's a mechitza that is a good mechitza, is you should do 2 different eruvim. Elionah lo te'arev lo echav lo shnaim, and the top one should not do not 1 and not 2. Well, because it cannot be mitzaref either. So the Gemara answers, Amar Rabba bar Ula, says Rabba bar Ula, kegon, for example, shaita elionah megupefet ad 10 amot. Right? What does that mean? Here.
Opening, not a breach.
Remember, megupa means that they're sticking out. So here you had 10 tfachim. Oh, let me do this bigger. I don't know why they made this one so small. Okay, here. Okay, you lose the clarity, but fine. You have 5 tfachim until 10, right? It says here, this is the 10 tfachim. This is also 10 tfachim.
8. That breach
right?
is 8.
So look, this is megupa. Remember, megupa means that it's sticking out from the wall. Here's a megupa sticking out from the wall. Here you have 5 tfachim and 5 tfachim. So here you have 10 tfachim, okay? And here it says ad. I can't even see what that is. I can't see the red. I don't know what the red is.
Ad 14 tfachim.
14? Okay, until 14? I don't know. Fine. So it says over here like this. So let's see what it says here. So he says like this. He says, what's the concept? The concept is, it says here, the Chatzer Elionah had gibufim that was 10 tfachim above the gidud, right? Why? It says here, b'tzidei mechitza, right? There's only going to be 10, right? V'rak be'eser amot. So that's 10 amot. That's what it is. So this red here is 10 amot. That means from here to here, there's 10 amot. Okay? From here, everyone sees the cursor. From here to here, this is 10 amot. Okay? So it says, right? He says like this. So he says, so to do with the bottom one, everything's considered closed. Okay? Now, to do with the top one, right? Since there's a gidud of chamisha and mechitza chamisha, right? And it's not going to be mitzaref according to Rav Chasta. Nevertheless, there's a mechitza gemura with the entrance, right? Because since again, you do have, right, the pivtza is not more than 10 amot, so it's considered like an entrance. So therefore, that's why it's going to be like that. So therefore, since it's only, this is considered like an entrance, so therefore it's still going to be okay. So yihachiv so imaseifa, let's say the seifa. Pachom mikan, if it's going to be less than this, marvin echad ve'mervin shnaim, you only do 1 eruv and not 2 eruvim. And the question is, ibaya echad tarev, ibaya tre tarev, you should have the choice. Meaning, according to what we just said now, you should have the choice whether to do 1 eruv or 2 eruvim. Okay, because if they want, they could do whichever one they want, because it's considered like 2 chatzerot, right? Or one chatzer with an entrance. So Amar Rabba bered Rabba, says Rabba bered Rabba, no, the bottom one was completely breached to the top one. This is the bottom one. This is the bottom.
So they're saying the bottom one has a bigger breach. 10.
This one, no, here, this.
That's a big breach.
No, it's completely breached.
Okay.
Not big breach, completely. Meaning the smaller one, the bottom one, since it's smaller, yeah. So therefore, what happens is that it's completely breached to the bigger one. So since it's completely breached to the bigger one, so that's why here you have the closing. How are you doing, Ron?
Sorry to disturb you.
Yeah, no problem.
I spoke to my maintenance department.
Hold on 1 second. So basically what we just said is that this one, since the bottom one was completely breached to the upper one, right? That's what he said, right? That's why we said, so it comes out that the bottom one doesn't have gibufim whatsoever, right? Just like the top one does. So therefore the bottom one, right, cannot be me'arev benifrad. You cannot make an eruv separately. right? Because it's completely open to the top one. But the top one could. If so, chad te'arev, right? Tachtona chad te'arev. So if according to that, so the bottom one should only make one Eruvin, not two Eruvin. Elionad, but the top one should be able to do whichever one you want. If you want, you could do two. You want one. Basically, the top one, since they have these gipufim, which are these like extensions protruding from the wall, they have the rights to decide whether we want to be together with you or separately from you. The bottom one, since they're completely breached to the open one, to the top one, they don't have the rights. They can only do one. And they cannot do two. Yeah? Yes, the same concept. So says the Gemara, in Hachinam, you're right. So when we learn Pachor Mikan Me'arevin Echad Ve'Me'arevin Shtaim is only on the bottom one. When we said that on the bottom one, they could do one and not two, that's only on the bottom one, not on the top. As the top one, they could actually decide whatever they want. Okay? Next. Darash Meremar. Gidud Chamisha Mechitza Chamisha Mitzarfin. So what do we just say? If you have half of it Gidud and half of it Mechitza Mitzarfin. So Ashkech Ravina Ravashi B'derava. So found Ravina to Ravacha B'derava. Amar Lehu, he told him, Tani more mide b'mechitza. Teach us something to do with the mechitzot. Amale, he said no. He told him no. So he says, what does that mean? The hilchata, what is halacha? Okay, here he's asking, what is it coming to teach you? I ask you, teach me something. You say no. Okay. So he says, I don't know. It says here, you have to look in what's the concept. I'm not sure. So he says, what's halacha? So according to that, that means basically we paskin halacha l'maaseh that you do combine 5 and 5.
And not like we learned 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, but we brought a stira, so we answered it, and now we're answering, and now we're saying halacha l'maaseh that you are allowed to combine. Okay? So by Rav Oshia comes and he asks the following question: what happens if people come on the Shabbat in itself? Does it prohibit or not? You remember we spoke about that if you have people in the Chatzer that they went and they did the Ruvei Chatzerot, and all of a sudden you have new people coming on Shabbat. For example, the kotel of the Chatzer broke or whatever it was. So now the question is, the new people, the newcomers, do they prohibit upon us to carry or not? So Amar Rav Chasta, let me just see if there's a picture. Says Rav Chasta, yeah, he comes and he says like this. Yeah, Tashema, Chatzer Gedola Shenifreta Lektana, Hagdola Muter Vaktana Asura. So we already said if you have a big Chatzer that's broken up into a smaller one, so the Gedola is going to be permitted, the small one is going to be permitted. It's like the entrance, meaning the smaller one acts like an entrance to the bigger one. So Amar Rabba comes and he says, Eimar, I would say, Mibeod Yom. It has to be done during the day that it broke. Because if it wasn't done during the day, it's not going to prohibit in the middle of the Shabbat.
On Shabbos.
No, Mibeod Yom is Erev Shabbat. That means if it happened on Erev Shabbat, that's why it's going to become prohibited. But if it happened on Shabbat in itself, it's not going to prohibit.
You're reading now Rabba?
Yes, I'm in Rabba. Okay? So Amalei Abaye comes and he says, Lo teimar mar eimar elavadai mibeod yom. Don't say maybe we're going to say that it was done during the day. Elavadai, for sure it was done mibeod yom nifetza. The amar hu damar, but you were the one that said, Ba minim Rav Huna, ba minim Rav Yehuda. That I asked Rav Yehuda, and I asked Rav Huna. Irev derech hapetach. If they did Ruvei Chatzerot together, right through the petach, right through the entrance. Okay? So you did it through the entrance. And then what happens is, right, v'nistama petach, then the entrance actually got closed down. Or derech hachalon, you did it through a window. V'nistama chalon, and then on Shabbat, the chalon was closed off. Ma'u what's halacha? Ve'amali, he told me, Shabbat, kevan she'utra, hutra. Since everything happened on the Shabbat, at the onset of Shabbat, once it was permitted, it was permitted. And even though afterwards it got closed down, I don't care. Yeah. Hutra, mutar. Like heter. This is Tzadik Daled. No, there's no pictures here. Tzadik Daled, Tzadik Gimel Bet. No, that's it. There was no pictures. Okay. So says the Gemara. Okay. Itmar was stated. When you have a wall in between two different courtyards, Shenafal that fell. Rav says you're only allowed to carry 4 amot. Ushmuel Amar and Shmuel says zemetaltel adikam mechitza zemetaltel bikam mechitza. Each one allowed to do until mechitza. Yeah. So each one is going to be metaltel bikam mechitza. I'm going to continue a little bit more. Okay. So says the Gemara until the Mishnah. So or maybe we should actually do the Mishnah. Maybe we'll go into the bottom. Right, Vehad Rav, and that which Rav said, La befirush itman, it wasn't said mefurash explicitly, ela miklala itman. It was stated by like a general rule, meaning that we deduced it. It wasn't stated mefurash. The Rav Shmuel Havayati Ba'u Chatzer. But Rav and Shmuel were sitting in the same courtyard. Nafal Guda de Ben Ben. And all of a sudden the kotel, which is the wall in between both of them, fell. Amar lehu Shmuel. And so Shmuel said to the people of the Chatzer, Shkolu glima negiduba. Take the talit and make it like a separated, like a mechitza. Meaning put it as a mechitza. And then you're allowed to come and you're allowed to be mitzvah the talit until the mechitza, right? Because it was permitted. Ahadrinu Rav le'apeh. So Rav turned his face to show that he was upset at the psak. So Amar lehu Shmuel said, "Ikapid Abba, if you're makpid, shkolu hemyaneh v'katruba. Take your avnet and tie it to the mechitza, tie it to the talit, to the mechitza." That means according to Rav, it was like prohibited once it actually fell. Okay? So he says over here, Shmuel, and according to Shmuel, that means basically he was coming and trying to tell it to him like as a how do you call it? As like a joke. He went and he said, if you're so makpid, take off now your belt and put it there also. Right? So already during the times of the Gemara, they were doing this, yeah? Fine. Shmuel, and according to Shitat Shmuel, Lama liha, why do I need this? Ha amar, he already said, each one is allowed to, even without the talit. I don't need the talit. I could carry until the yikam mechitza. So says the Gemara, Shmuel avi litzniut balma. Shmuel wanted to put a talit in order to make like for tzniut reasons. He didn't want that it should be completely open, right? The Rav, and according to Rav, isvira le'dasir, if he held that it's asur, why didn't you just say it? Why did he turn around his face? If you hold that something's asur, say it. Why are you just turning around? So Atre de Shmuel was the city of Shmuel. Therefore, since it was the city of Shmuel, Rav can't say anything. So he's not happy with it, but listen, he's a maradatra, the alacha zakim, kamarnu. There's nothing what to do. So the Gemara says, Yachi so why did he turn his face? Right? Because that shows that he's arguing on the maradatra. So he says, in order that people shouldn't say that he actually holds like Shmuel, which means that he wanted to give like a remez, but it wasn't that he was mamash, he's not allowed to argue, but he gave like a little bit of a remez that I don't, like a hint that I don't actually come and I don't actually hold like him. Okay? Mishnah. This is the picture over here. A chatzer that was broken up into the Reshut Rabim. So here you have a chatzer, a courtyard, and right here this wall was broken. That's why you still have the stones on the floor, some stones, and it's open up now to the Reshut Rabim. Okay? If you're, remember, we're in the Mishnah Tzadik Daled Amud Aleph. We're going until the next Mishnah on the bottom. Okay? So it says over here, if you're going to bring in from right, the Reshut Yechid, or from the Reshut Yechid into it. That means basically you're going to go from one Reshut to another Reshut. Chayav. You're going to be Chayav. Chayav means if Chas V'Shalom, if you did it purposely, it's going to be Mezid. It's going to be whether it's Mitab Betin or Karet. And if it was B'Shogeg, it's going to be a Korban. Okay, why? Because you're taking out from one property to another, from one domain to another domain. Divra Rabbi Eliezer. These words are Rabbi Eliezer. Chachamim u'min Chachamim say Mitocha Reshut Rabim. Or Reshut Rabim Tocha. Whether it's going to be from this domain to the Reshut Rabim to the public domain, or the public domain inside of this, Patur, you're going to be exempt. Why? Because it becomes like a Karmelit. It's not considered like a Reshut Yachid. It's like a Karmelit. So since it's Karmelit, it's only Midrabanan. Right? Again, you're only Chayav Midoraita if you go from Reshut Rabim to Reshut Yachid or Reshut Yachid to Reshut Rabim. Public to private, private to public. But anytime that you're going to a Karmelit, which is like in the middle grounds, you're always going to be exempt Mina Torah. It doesn't matter whether you're going from the Reshut Rabim to Karmelit or the Reshut Yachid Karmelit or the other way around. Basically, whenever you're going from a Karmelit, it's always the midrabanan. Says the Gemara, Rabbi Eliezer, according to Rabbi Eliezer, Mishum the Nifritzah Reshut Rabim, Hayvela Reshut Rabim. Says what? Because it was broken up into the Reshut Rabim, it's considered Reshut Rabim, right? It's still shayach to the Yachid. So what are you talking about? Meaning, according to Rabbi Eliezer, right? If anything, it's still a Reshut. At the end of the day, it's a Reshut Yachid, right? So therefore, he says, I'm not still allowed to stop you from coming into my territory. Imagine right now, right? You have Richard coming. Right, or John Jack coming inside here. You understand? I could stop them. It's breached. What do I care? You're not allowed to come into my property. So says the Gemara, yes. Why? Rabbi Eliezer goes according to his reasoning. The time we learned to write that Yehuda Omer Mishum Rabbi Eliezer. Yehuda says the name of Rabbi Eliezer. Rabim shebareru derech latzman. If you have a public that they went and they started making a path, even though it's in the field of a private person, ma shebareru bareru. Whatever they took, they took. They took. That's it. It's a private. No, but it's not
new facts now. We didn't have those. Why would they have a reason to go through this chatzah? There's no.
Why wouldn't they?
No. There's the Kusharab is outside. Why do they have to go inside his property?
No, it was a shortcut.
But there is no. Look, there's no shortcut there.
Where?
There's no reason to walk in this man's chatzah.
But it doesn't matter. But if they were walking right? Instead of me walking on the, it's like Surfside. Instead of me walking on the street and making it dangerous, I'm going to come and I'm going to start walking here.
Yeah, it becomes a sidewalk.
Right, so I'm going to start walking here.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them breaching the
Clearly,
walls.
it can
but-
happen.
Okay.
Okay? So he says like this. So he comes and he says like this. So he says, "Any is it so? Says that's only if they actually lost the derech in the field, which means that they had a derech in that sadeh, which means they had a zechut to do that, but they forgot where it was, and therefore they just came and they got a certain place. Meaning that it comes out that they had a certain path to go to. So since they had a certain path in the field, now they forgot where's the path. So they took a path on this side, but they had a path. But if they didn't have a path, then for sure it's going to be prohibited. Okay, so he says as follows: now, if you're going to tell me achinami, for example, that they lost the place. I mean, they had a path in the field, but they just lost that path. The Hamar Rebbe Chanina says Chanina ad mekom mechitza machloket, until the makom mechitza is going to be a machloket, because according to Chachamim, it's a Carmelit. But makom mechitza that it fell, they are going to agree to Rabbi Eliezer that it's considered Reshut Rabim. So it comes out that according to Rabbi Eliezer, the entire Chatzer is considered Reshut Rabim. So now the question is, so then why are you telling me it's a Reshut Rabim according to Rabbi Eliezer? Right? They don't have a permission in the entire thing. Meaning, according to Rabbi Eliezer, this entire area is Reshut Rabim. Let me just see if I have a picture here. Yeah, here. Al makom mechitza is a machloket, meaning until here is a machloket, right? But beneath that is not a machloket. Meaning here there was a machloket, right? But beneath that, Rabbi Eliezer said it was Reshut Rabim. The question is why? Okay, so says the Gemara, Ema, you have to actually say al mekom mechitza machloket, that until the makom mechitza is going to be a machloket, which means that the entire chatzer, Rabbi Eliezer actually agrees is not a Reshut Rabim, and only the place of the mechitza in itself was a machloket between them. Okay, the be'etem for you could answer another answer. Sider Reshut Rabim kamipalgeh. This is talking about Sider Reshut Rabim. Sider Reshut Rabim is the sides of the Reshut Rabim. Rabbi Eliezer said Sider Reshut Rabim damim. Because according to Rabbi Eliezer, all the side parts of the Reshut Rabim are considered Reshut Rabim itself. And according to the rabbi, Sider Reshut Rabim are not considered Reshut Rabim in itself. Okay? Veliflo with Sider Reshut Rabim. So he says, 1 second. What do I care about this case? Take out this case and talk about a regular Sider Reshut Rabim. For example, here, this is called Sider Reshut Rabim, the sidewalks or the side areas of the Reshut Rabim. Argue there. Why are we arguing in this case of this this courtyard? What do I care about that? So says the Gemara, if we were going to argue in a regular case of Sider Reshut Rabim, then Havamin and I would have said, when do the rabbis argue with Rabbi Eliezer? Only if they have chipufe, which is this. Right? Things chipufe. Things which are sticking out. These are called chipufe. I mean, things which stick out of the in the Reshut Rabim. Okay? So he says, but if they do not stick out, so I would say that they actually agree, right? That the Chachamim agree to Rabbi Eliezer that it's considered Reshut Rabim.
Obstructions in the sides. Of the
obstructions, things protruding. I don't know, you call them obstructions. Okay? Obstructions.
In other words, it would make it unsuitable for traffic.
For traffic, so that's why. That means they purposely put them. They do this, by the way. Right, for example, downstairs here, we have this right outside the Beit Knesset.
They would be considered as
or
like
in
a
Israel,
barrier.
Exactly. In Israel, they did that on all the, how do you call tachanot autobusim? So way cars don't come up and start killing people and running over them. So they come and they put all these barriers so you can't actually come up. So that's called Sider Reshut Rabim. So I would say that they agree. Chamash Malan comes to teach you. That's why we're saying that we wanted to speak about this case, that en chipufer b'makom mechitza leben Reshut Rabim, right? Still, the rabbis hold that it's not considered the Reshut Rabim, but rather like a Carmeli. Okay? Veha mitocha kama. He says the words mitocha, from inside of it. So says the Gemara, I did amaru b'na mitocha. Once it actually said mitocha, which is inside of it, amar ihu nami mitocha. We also said mitocha. But Rabbanan, and according to the rabbis, amar Rabbi Eliezer Sider Reshut Rabim ma'adru lo inu mitocha. Says Rabbi Eliezer Sider Reshut Rabim, and then he answered mitocha. So hachi kama le Rabbanan Rabbi Eliezer. This is what Rabbanan said to Rabbi Eliezer. Milo kamodilan, you are not going to be mudet to us. Heicha detiltel mitocha Reshut Rabim, that you transferred from its side of it to the Reshut Rabim, or the Reshut Rabim to its side of it, you're going to be patur because it's a Carmelit. Tzidei nami lo shna. So there's no difference in also tzidei reshut rabim. But according to Rabbi Eliezer, hatam over there lo katar tzidei rabim. Not a lot of people they trample there. So it's not considered reshut rabim. Here in the place of the mechitza, a lot of people are trampling by, and therefore it is considered a reshut rabim.
Here's a good picture that helps.
Yeah, that's nice. If you want, you could have here. Okay, everyone sees? Oops.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
So Bezat Hashem, then tomorrow, Bezat Hashem, we're going to continue with